Okay, so I haven't put in a few hours, just a few. I wanted to do a tier list for season 0, but I didn't have the time, so I never did. So we're gonna do a tier list for season 1. There's a lot of these characters that I personally don't play, so a lot of it is gonna be from me watching things, my opinions of seeing it through my own ranked games, and just the experience of others that I watch and what it looks like from their games as well. So yeah, well, let's get it started. We're gonna start off with Hulk. Easy S. Hulk is an easy S. He gets banned every game. He enables the Iron Man team up with and Strange, which just makes both characters that are already strong just even stronger. He is really annoying to deal with. A really good Hulk can just run the game. Not only that, but Hulk himself counters the Iron Man and the Storm, which both are also pretty strong. So like he counters the characters that he enables, and then the other flying character that is also really good this season. I think Hulk as a whole is just a really strong pick. If you are duoing and you have a Hulk and you have an Iron Man player with you, honestly, just abuse Hulk and Iron Man up until you get to Diamond, because that's probably going to be where the last place you'll see him. Hulk up top, I think one of the best tank, if not one of the best tanks, if not the best tank. I think you can put some arguments there for other characters that we'll get to eventually. Venom. Venom, unfortunately, I don't think he's that good, but how good do I think he is, right? Let's see. Compared to the other tanks, I think the problem with Venom is just that dive isn't the best right now. If dive is good, Venom becomes a perma pick for the most part. However, I still think that even with dive being good, Venom just becomes a secondary pick to Hulk. And right now, dive just is not the meta. It's just not the meta at all. Dive has very easy counter picks, and in the likes of Namor, Loki counters it. Zeus counters it, has like really good counters to it. Even Squirrel Girl is annoying to deal with on dive. Like there's a lot of picks that can go against dive, and I think Venom inherently does not get enough value out of it because of that. I'm gonna put Venom like B tier. I think the lower you are in rank, the more viable he is, because the lower you are in rank, the games are a lot more hectic. It's like you're playing dive all the time, even when you're not. The games are just a mess, right? So Venom can exist in those environments, just never die and always be a menace. But the higher you go, the less value you will always get on Venom. So I'm gonna just put him right in the middle. Captain America. I honestly don't know enough about Captain America, but I think with the buffs, and I'm starting to see him more as people learn him, I do think Captain America can be good. There has been games like in like Diamond. I'm Diamond 2 right now, but like there's been games where I've just seen the Cap Thor combo just shred and just absolutely cause a havoc. I think for that I'd put him similar to Venom, where he can thrive in very like chaotic situations. If you have a Captain America that just can survive and be annoying and get effective kills every now and then, like it'll be really good. And I think the really good Captain America players at higher elos, they make that character look insane sometimes. So I think Cap is a nice middle of the pack B tier as well. Groot. I think Groot is really good, but do I think he's like S tier? I don't think he's S tier. I think Groot, I will probably put her on A. The reason I think Groot is A is because of the fact that Moon Knight's really good, and in the maps where they play with each other really well, like that, the team comp is just insane. Putting Groot up top can really deal good damage. He does good damage. If there is no Wolverine, he survives forever. In solo queue environments, people are not chopping down the wood and walls. Those walls are not going down. It's always effective. People are still struggling to play against them, and I think that's only really happening because of the fact that he is only coming into fruition a lot more recently, with the amount of people that are figuring out, oh, Groot plus Moon Knight ult is free win. He's really tanky as a whole. The walls just never break down, as I said. He combos really well with ults too. As people get used to it, I think that's just the what's gonna happen, right? Some maps you're just running into Groot, Moon Knight, and Storm, and then you get hit with I am Groot into Fear of the Moon or whatever the fuck Moon Knight says, or if Moon Knight's ult is down, you get hit with Moon Knight, or you get hit with Groot ult into Fear the Goddess, and like you just you just get destroyed, um, or you have Groot ult into a massive Namor whale that just like comes in out of nowhere and just slams your entire team, or you're running against like Groot and Hulk, and then the Iron Man maximum pulses your squad while you're in the Groot ult. There's a lot of combos that absolutely wipe teams with the Groot ult, and for that reason, I think Groot is actually really good. I just don't think a lot of people are really good with Groot right now, or even yeah, like even like Groot with Squirrel Girl ulti is crazy. So it's I think Groot enables a lot of these AoE characters to just have big team wipes. For all the Overwatch players, it's just Grab Dragon, but with like 5 different characters in Groot. That's just it's just what it is, you know. I think Groot enables so much. Even a Bucky, Groot ult into again. Things like that. It just works. I think right now, what's stopping him from being like really, really good is just the tanks that are better than him are a lot better, in my opinion. And the players that are playing him are not as good. Strange, I mean, come on. That guy's not moving out of S tier. Strange is still insane even after his nerfs. I think the only thing that the nerf really did to Strange is it knocked down his ability to solo tank a little bit. I think he's still a fine solo tank, but him being able to, or him not being able to kill as fast as he was before is really taking down the Strange assassin like playstyle that you could get away with in some games. You know, you can like, if you're really pub stomping on the Strange, you're just killing everything. And I think he can still do it. It's just a little bit harder. And as we know, because sustain is so good in this game, having just a little bit longer time to kill is just detrimental to characters sometimes, right? Like having an extra second or two to potentially get a heal is massive, in my opinion. Because if your healers are being sentient human beings and can look at you, then you get healed enough to where Strange never kills you. Thor. I have a hard time placing Thor because I don't see a lot of Thors. The thing about Thor is that I think Thor he's really good at scrapping. He enables Captain America and he enables Storm. I think enabling Storm is a lot better than enabling Captain America, but Storm is also good enough without the Thor team up, I think. The Thor team up also enables things like Hela. Hela's being allowed to go through more, and the Hela, Thor, Loki stuff is pretty good. I think off team ups alone, I think Thor can also probably be in the A tier if we're having like Venom and Captain America the B tier, because I think he's better than both Captain America and Venom. He is also just another skill issue kind of character. He is also another kind of skill issue. Good Thors are so oppressive with the shift. He can kind of be a mini Wolverine and kidnapped. Yeah, right. Like the annoyance factor of a good Thor is very big. He can counter engages if the Thor is able to, you know, displace like a Magik going in or a Wolverine going in, or even another Thor going in. Like Thor can really play like aggressive, but can also just displace their initiators really well. So I think Yeah, I think Thor in the A tier is probably good. Penny. Penny is good against dive. However, Penny against dive is still worse than like Magneto Hulk versus dive, or Magneto solo tank versus dive. Like Penny is really good in her maps that can make it work. Uh, but I don't think Penny inherently gives much more to the team. She has no real team ups. The team up with Venom forces you to play Venom. So you're playing Venom Penny, and I think that's one of the worst tank lineups in the game, if not the worst. Even with the team up, like it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Her ulti, any any good team can burst through Penny ulti. It doesn't really do much. Any good team, or just any player that is doing like their normal stuff as they should, can destroy cocoons easily, unless the Penny goes out of their way in hiding it. And usually, if you're hiding it, if you're forcing the cocoon to be hidden really far back, or like really hidden, it's probably not in the greatest spot, and it's probably not covering the most amount of space. I think Penny just has to work so much harder than some of the other tanks to be effective. She is horrendous solo tank. I think some of the other, like all the other tanks, except for maybe Captain America, are fine solo tanking. Captain America, if you're solo tanking, you don't have a tank. Let's be real. Just the moment the cocoon dies, Penny is nowhere to go. If Penny is unable to stabilize and reset up cocoon, you just get rolled and rolled and rolled and rolled. The character is just too much focused on her setup that it just becomes unreliable against teams that understand that breaking the setup is just the way to win. In lower ranks, Penny gets away with murder because of the fact that nobody ever really contests the cocoon. Supports think they don't have to hit the cocoon. Like if you're running like a Mantis, the Mantis can kill the cocoon really fast if they're paying attention. Like there's many ways to destroy the cocoon, and in lower ranks people don't do it, which makes Penny seem a lot better. And honestly, in lower ranks, a lot of people are playing dive, but objectively worse. Like they're just playing bad. So they're all dying to Penny traps. They're all, you have the Venom who like dives and face tanks the cocoon, but forgets to pop shield. Just overall, I think she's a bit of a new bait character for sure, and it just makes it she just doesn't get as much value. Like sure there are high level pennies out there, but that's just somebody who's overall probably good at the game and just decides to play Penny more so than the character itself. Magneto, easy top three tank. I think any combination of these three characters, you're good. The Magneto, in my opinion, is the best solo tank in the game. He's incredibly safe. Pops a shield that's basically, like a diva matrix. And then when that goes down, can pop a bubble on himself. Straight up counters one of the better picks in Wolverine with the bubble. Is really just really defensive overall. The meatball, his ulti, can kill the very popular Cloak and Dagger in ult right now. Can kill Luna in ult if she loses her shield or whatever. It can kill pretty much all of the supports in their ulti, and just straight up counter support ults. He counters things like Star-Lord, counters things like the Punisher, if they're fast enough, before it breaks. Like a proper Magneto is just insane. He's just so good. Counters maximum pulse. Just can stand there and stall with his ulti if people decide not to shoot it, or people, or if only a few people are shooting it, right? Like the ulti itself has so much variance to it and can one shot so many things. It could just change the entire tide of the fight. I'm not a big fan of how he plays, but come on. Gotta put respect on the name. Let's move on to the supports. Luna Snow. Where else to put it but S tier? Come on, let's be honest. Luna Snow is a perma pick or ban, basically. Almost always banned, though, from my experience. The 12-second ult is nuts. If you have a Loki on your team, you get 24 seconds of Luna Snow ult. She builds it ridiculously fast. She can deal damage if she really wanted to. Just her utility is insane. Overall, really good. Not much to say about Luna Snow, honestly. Jeff. Let's see. Where do I want to put Jeff? I think Jeff is... I'll put him in C. I put him in C for similar reasons as to why I put Peni in C. I think... So, I was explaining to this on like a day or two ago that in order for Jeff to properly heal and like a 2-healer comp, he has to just work so hard, right? Like he has to outperform the other healers by like a large margin for him to be effective. Not only that, but his ulti has to kill multiple people for it to be worth it, because a lot of the time he is trading 1 for whatever. It can't be 1 for 1, because then your team's down a healer. 1 for 2 can be okay depending on the fight and depending on the 2 that you get. With just the survivability of everybody, or the survivability that the other healers provide everybody, I don't think Jeff can match that healing output. He's just not there. Like, I think his ulti is his only redeemable factor. I will say, though, in triple support compositions, I think he's good. In triple support comps, I think he's good. Mainly because in triple support comps, he gets to be annoying. He gets to be the third support. He shouldn't be the main healer. Or he shouldn't be one of the ones that is healing the most. The other 2 supports should be focused on healing much more than the Jeff. Jeff can start playing like a little crazy. I've seen people flank with it effectively, where they're just being really annoying, dealing damage to the back line. If you're doing like triple support with like Luna and like Invisible Woman, and then you have, or Luna and Cloak and Dagger, and then you have a Jeff third support with the Luna Snow team up, like him flanking with the ice shots actually deals a lot of damage. Like, don't underestimate that at all. Like, he can get value, but I think it's only in triple support compositions. And in triple support compositions, I think there are better choices for the triple supports than Jeff himself. So I think he still falls behind with the rest, right? So it's a little rough. And yes, like Chad pointed out, Jeff ult is like having a dead support for 10 seconds if he whiffs the ults. Yeah, if your Jeff whiffs, he's basically sacking himself. And it's a little unfortunate. With the rise of the amount of Cloak and Daggers that exist, a proper Cloak and Dagger will just cloak the team, and Jeff gets nothing and insta dies, right? So I think Jeff has to work too hard, doesn't get enough value as the rest of the supports. Loki, my man's Loki. I think Loki is honestly very big A tier here. Loki is probably the best third to have in 3 support compositions. So you can run something like Luna, Cloak, Loki, Luna, Invisible Woman, Loki, Luna's banned, Invisible Woman, Cloak, Loki. I think those 3 are just really good. Obviously, Cloaky is enabled by the fact that he can just copy Luna Snow, copy Invisible Woman, copy Cloak. And dealing with multiple of those ults is just straight up annoying. Like you can't do anything. You're sitting there, you're staring at each other. If it's Luna ult, you're staring at each other for 12 seconds if your support ult drops as well. So let's say you both have Luna, you're staring at each other for 12 seconds, and then the Loki hits, your power is mine, another 12 seconds. And then let's say you have a Loki, And they do it too. They go, your power is mine. You know, time to fucking dance. Starts hitting the cha-cha slide on your ass. And then you're there for 24 seconds staring at each other, doing nothing. It's a stalemate. The game stops effectively. The most you can do is just get ult charge because you can slap, like you're just wet noodle fighting the entire time. Like Loki, when Loki gets enabled, it's annoying. It's just so annoying, very annoying to deal with. Really good against dive, has the shift, you know, the circles of fun. The lower you are, nobody's killing those lamps. Even at higher ranks, nobody's killing those lamps sometimes. The clones can deal damage if they really wanted to. If you're in a situation where you're trying to kill a Loki 1v3 and the 3 is himself, you're getting slapped. Like you're taking a ton of damage. Right? Like it is a lot. It is a lot of damage. He can heal really effectively if the person's really good with managing the clones. He's a really safe character overall. Mantis. My favorite support. I'm gonna also put her in A. She used to be S tier in season 0. People really thought she was like the best support. I think as season 0 went, I think people realized that Luna is probably the best support instead of Mantis, if I'm being honest, with how much Luna was being banned. Mantis is still really good. She's a good choice for the third support so that she can flex into dealing some more damage. The problem is that with how good the other support ults are, the survivability supports, the big heals, hers is probably the worst. So compared to Luna, compared to Cloak, compared to Invisible Woman, hers is probably the worst. Yeah, she can deal damage while casting it, but it's just so much shorter. People die in it, or she can die in it pretty easy. She dies to Psylocke ult in it. Like it can get dealt with much easier than some of the other ones. And her healing is just a little worse, right? If she's not getting efficient uptime with her seeds or her leaves, whatever it is, and your team is getting rolled, like she's not gonna get much healing done. She struggles a lot. She can struggle a lot in situations where you're on the backswing of things instead of being the one pushing the envelope, which you're not always going to be. The other supports are just much safer picks. Moving on to Invisible Woman. I've been playing Invisible Woman a lot this season. I'm low-key gonna put her in the S. I think she's really good. She has really good, just overall really good anti-dive. If people run things like Hulk, Hulk can't get her. Just the ulti is really good. The ulti stops a lot of things, right? It counters Star-Lord. It counters Storm. It can counter, just big damage ults like Psylocke. I think it still dies to Moon Knight. I'm not entirely sure though. Counters Punisher ult. The invisibility is really good, right? Overall, her ult is really well. She can push people off the map in certain maps, which is, always worth. She counters Wolverine grab. It pulls her. Pulls her back, or she puts that the vortex. The vortex also counters the flyers that are really good in this meta. So like it forces Storm to hit the ground, it forces Iron Man to hit the ground. Like if the Invisible Woman is looking out for those things, those characters are never going to be able to fly. And the pullback, being able to pull back somebody when your Wolverine grabs them, or when your Thor pushes them back, or when they dive a little too far and they're trying to back up, being able to just pull them back and say, no, you're staying here, you wanted to be here, so you will be. It's like it's just such a pain for the enemy, right? Like you just tell them no. I think Invisible Woman is really good. Rocket. I think Rocket's been doing the rounds lately. Recently we saw some guy get to GM with 0 damage done or something like that. There's been a lot of discussion on whether Rocket's actually good or not. The truth is, Rocket's bad. He's not actually D tier. I think Rocket is good. However, I don't think he's as good as people are putting him up to be. People are talking about Rocket like he's the second coming of Jesus for the strategist role, support role. And I think that only applies the lower ranks you go, mainly because I think Rocket Raccoon gets so much value off of his res because of the fact that people don't kill it. There's not a lot of people that contest it, or it's really like behind. A lot of people don't kill it. There's not a lot of pressure on the Rocket Raccoon. He has a lot of survivability, which can be annoying. I don't think his healing is all that good. His healing numbers are inherently inflated because of the fact that you're just spamming orbs. And there's a difference between large healing number and effective healing, right? And effective healing is, how well are you healing through like important things, like when people are actually about to die, when people are really low through very difficult situations, through like a ulti. Can you ensure that people survive these difficult situations? Not where people are getting poked and you have a million orbs flying around and they're all just slowly, passively healing each, the person they touch, and you're just spamming it, right? So eventually by the end of the game, you get 40k healing and you think you did a really great job. I'm not saying you didn't, but at the same time, there is a lot of just like passive healing that happens because of the rocket that people start to get a little crazy about, like how good his healing actually is. I think Rocket is really good in lower elos because you can take advantage of the Punisher and Bucky combo. Shit, even in Diamond, I see it being done really, really well and having success in it. I've done it myself. I've played it myself, right? I think people don't know how to deal with that for some reason because tanks just kind of face tank all of the damage and then their shield is gone and then they get pushed in and then they die. I think Rocket enabling that, enabling that combo, giving the infinite damage, or the infinite ammo is really good. However, I don't think his ult is all that great. Sure, his ult under situations where your team is somehow allowed to deal all of the damage through a support ult and kill through the support ult is fine, but let's be honest, right? Completely honest, that's not happening every game. You're not gonna pop ult and your DPSs are gonna be like, okay, time to kill Luna through her ult. Nobody's gonna do that. That's not gonna happen often. It's you're asking for too much coordination from your randoms and and proper aim. For that, I think I'm gonna put him in the B tier. I think Rocket can get value, but I don't think he's going to get as much value as some of the other supports, and I don't think he's as good as people are kind of trying to make him at the moment. I just think he gets a lot of value because of the fact that people just don't deal with him correctly. People let him live for so long, and people don't know how to deal with it for some reason. Adam Warlock. I think Adam is starting to struggle a bit, mainly in a similar way to Mantis. I think with the way that Mantis struggles to heal, so does Adam. His healing is not doesn't keep up with the rest of the other healers. The 3 snaps and it's gone. The lower elo you are, like the worse player you are, the less effective you're going to be on Adam. Really good Adams probably get a fair bit of picks. That's not happening a lot in like mid to low ranks, if I'm going to be honest. People are their shifts. Adam's shift is really good. It basically is honestly it's just a counter to all the ults. You just pop that and you don't die. Honestly, Adam has 2 ult. That shift is really, really broken. But I just don't think I don't think he's getting as much value as some of the other supports right now. And for that, I think I'll put him right next to Rocket. I think both of these characters are just kind of good in their situations, and that's kind of it. Like Mantis enabling, or not Mantis, but Adam enabling the Mantis and the Star-Lord team up, which Star-Lord is probably really, really good right now. I'd rate him pretty high. Adam enabling that is big, but you're kind of running it for the sake of enabling it. And his ulti is good. He does good. It's just, I don't think he's performing as good as the other supports right now, unless you're just like a really good Adam. And when your performance of the character is based on the player skill, I think that as a whole makes the character a little worse. Moving on to Cloak and Dagger. I think I'm going to put S tier as well. I think these 3 are probably the best 3 supports in the game right now. The buff to Cloak and Dagger was massive. Lowering the cooldown of her bubble inherently makes her healing just go up, which makes her ulti generation much faster. her ulti having 4 lines instead of 3 now. She just heals a ton. She gets heals really fast. She no longer has to reload with the quick swap animation that is just faster than her reloading speed. She gets a ton of heals down. She can deal damage if she absolutely needs to. The Discord, or like the blind wall, is really good as well. Just really good overall. This character doesn't stop ulting. You generate it so fast. It is insane. It is insane. The character's nuts. There's not a lot to say other than the fact that this character is very versatile. Just kind of can do a little bit of everything, and then her healing is just really good now. That's pretty much it for her. Widow. That's just straight D tier. Not good. Character is not good. You have to outperform the entire enemy team and yours in order to have some sort of value. Doesn't kill anything. Some of her coolest combos require you to be in melee range. Like, come on. It's just the character's just not good. Panther, Black Panther. Where am I gonna put him at? I think Black Panther is solid B. I would put him higher, but he is pretty hard to play. A lot of people aren't good with him. The only people that make him look A and above are the Black Panther dedicated players. They're the one tricks. I don't think many Black Panthers are that great. And the nerf did kind of chop him down a fair bit, so he gets away with much less. Black Panther overall, I don't play him a lot. Probably one of the characters I've watched the least of, so I could be really wrong with this. But I just don't think he's as effective as he was last season. Last season, if I was to do a tier list, I probably would have put him in the A tier because he was like really good, even with like a few players that weren't that great with him. But I think he's a solid B. Also because of the fact that just all of the anti-dive is just really good right now. So he's not getting as much value. Hawkeye. Season 1, one of the best characters in the game, supposedly. A lot of people put him in the S tier, I would say. But I think right now, with the nerf, I think he's a solid A. I think he's still good. But, so he's forced to play closer, which makes it easier to just punish him and kill him and just really deal with him, right? His damage went down a little bit, but he's still able to deal like a substantial amount of damage. I think what happened with Hawkeye is similar to what happened with Hela, is that right now the only real people that are doing good with Hawkeye are Hawkeye players and people with decent aim. Before, I think anybody could have done well with Hawkeye and gotten it away with it, with how kind of lenient the range on his power-up was and just how much damage they could dish out. Like, all they would need to do is hit like 1 in 4 shots and they're being effective. But right now, I think Hawkeye's a solid A. I don't think he is super great, but I don't think he's also bad or middle of the pack. Hela also got pretty stuffed enough to bring her down to A tier as well. I think that with Hela dropping down in HP, I think it's enough for her to get killed by the dive that can really put pressure on her. Hela became a much easier matchup. Like, as a Magic player, Hela became such an easy matchup now that she has 250 HP and not 275. A lot of the Helas aren't going into bird form in time, and if they do go into bird form, they almost instantly die right after. Like, it's just much easier to play against, and she's much easier to kill. And I think that was the most annoying part about Hela. Her damage was crazy, but I think the hardest part was that her counters had a hard time killing her, which is a little annoying. Iron Fist. I'm also going to put him down in the D tier. Iron Fist is new bait. This character is bad. Just outrange him, you kill him. Like, the only people making him look even remotely decent are Iron Fist one tricks. The Iron Fist in your bronze game isn't good on him, I swear. You're also just not good at the game. This character is a complete noob stomper. And noob bait character. Like, stop playing this character, please. Unless you're like really good at him for some reason. But I assure you, if you're silver or bronze, you're not really good at him. You just have 20 hours played. Like, I don't know. Just another character that's pretty bad. Like, he's annoying to deal with, but that's all he is. Annoying to deal with. And he's not annoying in the same way that Cap is, right? Like, he's just annoying and then he dies. Annoying and then he runs away. But almost never gets value unless like your teammates are kind of just not doing anything to heal each other or just to stop it, right? Like, the Iron Fist gets value when your team turns their brains off. Iron Man. I am Iron Man. I think I'm putting him up here in the S tier. The team up is really good, right? The team up just goes crazy. Even without the team up, I think he's pretty good, if I'm being honest. If they're running a storm, personally, I think Iron Man is a good pick against the storm instead of matching the storm. I think the without Gamma, the beam can outtrade the storm, from my overall experience and from what I've watched. I think he's pretty solid. Obviously, the team up with the Hulk is one of the best in the game, and makes him like just absurdly broken. But I think even without the team up, he can be viable and does pretty decent job against like certain picks. So overall, I think he's up there. That and his counters are a little worse now too. So he gets to just exist a little more. Magik. Oh man, I want to put Magik up here so bad. My favorite character in the game. But let's talk about it. Magik Nation. Magik is probably in a pretty rough spot right now. The survivability of characters like Cloak and Dagger, Invisible Woman, Luna, and Flyers being really good right now makes her relatively difficult to play. If you want to kill Flyers by yourself, you have to, land the combo up in the air, which can be annoying to do so consistently. She dies to a lot of popular picks like Namor right now. Even Squirrel Girl is really annoying to play against sometimes. I think it's just really hard to kill stuff right now, and I don't think Magik gets to do it as consistently anymore for some of these supports as she would have last season. But I still think she's really good. I do still think she's really good. I think you can get a lot of value with the Magik. You can play just kind of disruptive, be annoying on the enemy tanks, play with your tank a little bit more. I think the playstyle just shifted a lot more to just kind of being a lot more conservative with your dives and making sure that the dives you do take are high percentage kills. Like there's a high percentage that you're going to get those kills rather than before. I think you were able to be a little bit more free with your dives, kind of really get in there and then get out instantly. But right now it's just very punishing, and with so much displacement as well, with like Invisible Woman being a big pick, it makes your retreat a lot harder, right? So I don't think she's as good, and I think this is going to be a pretty similar spot as I'm going to put some of the other assassins, I would say. But I do think she's like B. I don't think she's super, like, I think I would, if I was to put this in order, I would put her like high B, but I think there's just so much that's stopping her that is really good in the meta right now that I don't think it's just getting increasingly difficult to play her in like against good players. Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. I'm gonna put him in C. I think he can be D tier. However, I think in lower ranks, he's a lot more useful than something like an Iron Fist or a Black Widow. The reason being is that he just survives, right? And in lower ranks, if you're able to just survive, you just win the game. Like the problem with like low ranks from my experience, and at this point I have like 5 accounts. My experience from low ranks is that it's just one giant fiesta. It's just constant fighting. Whoever gets ults first usually wins, and then you just steamroll over and over and over. There's a bunch of staggering. People just are fighting and dying, right? And Mr. Fantastic does a great job at just not dying. He just goes Pop-Tart mode, doesn't take damage, and then goes real big, and then, attaches himself to somebody and gets shield. Like, he's just really annoying and really annoying to kill. And I think for that makes him enough to not be D, but to be in the C tier, just because of the fact that he doesn't die. Like, he just survives. He's a survivor. Moving on to Moon Knight. Dude, the Gooner is so good right now. I would put him in the A tier. I think Moon Knight is bananas right now. He combos really well with Groot. That combo is just deadly. Can kill through support ult when it's comboed that way. I'm not sure if it can kill with support ult. If it can kill through support ult normally. He might be able to. I don't know the numbers. This is mainly from experience, but I think the Moon Knight ult is really good when comboed properly. I think outside of it, it's not as great. I think Moon Knight has to kind of go out of his way to get a good one if he's doing it without a Groot, which can sometimes lead Moon Knight players to just put themselves in really bad situations where they end up dying, which is why I probably wouldn't put him in as an S tier. I think without the combo, he's not as good as with the combo. I think the combo makes him just astronomically better. Cloak is also a very common pick now, so he gets his team up almost all the time, which it's not a crazy team up, but it's, it's good that he always has his team up, right? There's just value there. Namor, I think I'm gonna put him in the S tier. I think Namor is S tier because of how hard he shuts down dive. He single-handedly turns off like 7 characters, not including Sue, that he also turns off. And then the annoyance that it is going against Namor is crazy. You have to deal with squids. If you're a melee character, you're never killing those squids. If you're playing a melee character and you're killing the squids, there's something severely wrong with the game. Something is going bad and you are already having a bad time. The Namor is just so good, shuts down a lot of things, and just really, really, really brings it down. Like he locks it down really well. Paired with Luna, it gets even better. You know, it's just the character has a lot going for him. He's very safe on top of that. Just overall, a lot of damage output as well. His ulti combos well with things like Groot. His ulti locks you out of using your movement abilities if you're in the circle. It gets pretty scary playing against Namor, especially as a Magik and Wolverine player. It gets a little tough. But I think Namor is definitely up there in the S tier. He's been making a very nice place for himself there. He's been so consistent at the end of season 1, going into season 2. And just kind of, I don't see this character leaving this spot unless he receives a nerf. You have to outplay the Namor so hard if you're playing dive or if you're playing a melee character. Granted, if you're playing a melee character, you should never be in a situation where you're the one that has to kill Namor. But in solo queue situations, a lot of like just non-team oriented situations, you're probably going to find yourself in those positions because, let's be honest, people don't kill the targets they need to be killing. And sometimes you kind of have to do jobs that aren't yours for the sake of winning. But Namor makes it just so hard to do that. Psylocke. So Psylocke got nerfed, but I think she's really good still. I think she's still one of the better characters to deal with flyers. I think she's better at dealing with flyers than things like Punisher. I think she's really good. Her burst combo is insane if you know you're really good at it. She does kind of take a little bit of, you know, she's more of like a skill dependent character in terms of execution. I don't think a lot of people can just pick up Psylocke and play it without just insta-dying or not using her dashes properly, or, you know, just there's a lot of combos to it to maximize her damage. And I don't think a lot of people are doing it as well. Like, she's just very flexible too. She can play the backline flanker. She can play frontline. She does a lot of damage to tanks. She's one of the characters that can flex her role in the game really well. And for that, I think I'm also going to put her in the A tier. I think she has a spot in the S tier, but I don't know. I'm a little hesitant to put her in the S, but I do think she's really good though. I think she definitely has a potential spot to be S tier, but I don't know. There's something's telling me not to put her up there because she still does also have very similar difficulties like some of the other like flankers and divers, but she's probably the best equipped diver or flanker to deal with some of the counters like Namor, and she deals with Moon Knight very nicely, deals with stationary targets like Hela and Hawkeye nicely. All right, I'm convincing myself to put her in the S tier. I think she has a really good matchup against all of the DPS that are in the A tier, and I think she's really good against tanks as well. Like, she's just super versatile. I don't think she's like broken. I don't think she's really like super strong. Like, she's probably one of the best characters while also being one of the more balanced ones at the same time. Like, the ulti's not that great. The ulti's probably better off being used as a solo ult against like Storms when they ulti. Friend of mine who plays a lot of Psylocke has been doing that to like some really good effect in his games as well. You can use it to just straight up counter the Storm ult, or, you know, it kills through Mantis ult. You don't want to go for big ults where you're hitting like 5 people or else they're all going to live. But I think Psylocke is just super, super, super consistent overall. So yeah, I'll just put her in the S tier for the sake of it. Scarlet Witch, I think I'm going to put her down in the D tier. Scarlet Witch is so hard to do anything with unless the people you're going against are just asleep. Like, they're asleep at the wheel. They don't know how to play the game. Scarlet Witch does peanuts for damage. You can just walk away from her. It's so easy to kill her. She has 2 escapes, and it's not really that good anyway. All the time, I see people use both of their escapes and they insta-die out of it. Like, it's just, the character doesn't do a lot, unfortunately. The ulti almost never gets any value. When you can kill an ulti through just hitting it with your basic attacks, like, it's just unfortunate for the character. I think they definitely need a buffer in some way if they want to make her good. Make her maybe take even less damage while in ult or something. If they want to make that ult better, make it a little harder to kill her. Like, she's good if she has a Magneto on the team because she can get bubbled, but like, just play anybody else. Like, they'll be much better with the bubble anyway. The team up is good for Magneto, but at the same time, not super worth it because you're going to be running the Scarlet Witch. So it's like objectively bad, which sucks. This character is just not good and definitely needs some tuning. Spider-Man. Spider-Man, I think I've played a fair bit of Spidey. I think he's good, but the problem is he has to work really hard. Similar to, Panther and Magik. I think Magik is a better character overall, because she has a lot more flexibility in that sense. But I think Spider-Man can do a lot of work, especially when you have a Venom. Spider-Man is also kind of like in the similar sense to Magik and Panther. They're specialist kind of characters, right? The person who's playing the character has to be really good at the character. But that being said, I think inherently, if you're playing Spider-Man, you're probably pretty good with Spider-Man, or deem yourself to be pretty good. Granted, the Spider-Mans in my games aren't always that great, but I think a good Spidey can get a lot of value. A good Spidey is just an annoying mosquito all the time, right? I don't think Spider-Man is worth playing if you're not running the Venom, unless you're really, really good at Spider-Man. I'm going to put him in the B tier only because the team up is really good. With the team up, he kills a lot of the flyers in Iron Man and Storm, which are also really good right now. It allows him to one-shot a fair bit of people, but he still ultimately dies to all of the anti-dive stuff, all of the, like Namor. He just has to work a lot harder. If I was to, again, put this in order, I would put him at like the bottom of the B tier, maybe even C tier. It's just Spider-Man has to work a lot harder than some of the other characters to get his kills, but I still think Spider-Man is a really good character, or can be a good character. He's definitely there for potential more so than like what is being displayed right now. I think the moment, I assure you, the moment anti-dive is like all the anti-dive characters get nerfed or something, that character is going to be crazy. His movement is insane. He gets around the maps really fast. Like I think the moment some things get nerfed around, the sustainability and the survivability of things get toned down. If that happens, Spider-Man's going to run the game at some point. Moving on to Star-Lord. I think Star-Lord is one of the best characters in the game as well. I think he's really good, especially in like a team, like the more team oriented you are. If you're running a trio that's running like the Adam Warlock, or like a duo that's running the Adam Warlock, enabling the res on the Star-Lord, I think it's really good. His ulti is really good. He's just really annoying, doesn't die. The iframes for doing the dashes, he gets reloads for it. He can one clip you off that. I think Star-Lord is really good, and I think he's up top, maybe top of A, but I think what's stopping Star-Lord from being really good is just that people aren't as good with Star-Lord right now. I think he's widely regarded as good by people who play at a high level and people who play in like team situations, like in tournament and stuff. But I don't think he would be considered like really good by like lower level players, because the Star-Lords in their games are just not good. A good Star-Lord is going to pop legendary like every other fight. They're going to be really annoying. They're going to be one clipping your supports if they can. Like they're just really, really good. And the team up is nuts. Giving him a res is insane. Moving on to Storm. Storm coming out these season 1 patches, or the season 1 patch, probably the best buffs out of anybody else who got any. She's just ridiculous right now. Her shots pierce, making it a lot easier. Not only do her shots pierce, they made them faster. So it's just so easy to build your ult. Some people are building 2 ults in a fight. Like the character is insane. Gives your team like a marginal like damage boost, which like it isn't crazy, but it's also just an overall damage boost all the time, or a movement speed boost all the time. I feel like most people are on the damage majority of the time, so it's just like really good combos with Thor, combos with pretty much anybody, like combos with Groot, like combos with Thor in terms of like the passive, like the team up. But I think Storm is just really good ultis all around. She's either always trading support ult for hers, and she probably gets her ult before the support, or she's killing both of your supports. It's always one or the other. She has a really good ulti to use during overtime. She's just really useful right now. Definitely one of the best characters to come out of the patch. She's definitely S tier for me. All right, Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl. I think with the buffs, with the change to her ult, I think Squirrel Girl is actually very good. I don't think people are good with Squirrel Girl, but I think a lot of people can get away with not being good with Squirrel Girl. Deals a shit ton of damage, is somewhat anti-dive. You know, she can hit you with the acorn and stun you, and it's a little harder than some of the other anti-dive characters, but she can do it. Her spam is just really annoying. Running spam with her and like the storm spam is just it's cringe. The squirrel stampede is nuts now with the tracking that they have. I think this character is somewhat underrated right now because people still probably look at this character as a meme pick. But dude, I honestly think she's really good. I honestly think she's like A tier right now. I think she's up there for sure. I don't know. Like I wouldn't pick her over like a Moon Knight. I probably wouldn't pick her over any of the other DPS that are above her on this list right now. But like, man, is she annoying? She deals a lot of damage. She can get a ton of value, and she's annoying to kill. She's just really annoying to kill too. Like she's safe. She's a very safe character. Moving on to Bucky, or I keep calling Punisher Bucky and Bucky Punisher. Oh my god. Moving on to Punisher. I think Punisher is just a very solid pick. I don't think he's like really good. I don't think he's really bad. He's just very middle of the pack character. Deals with the flyers a little less effective than some of the other characters like Hela and Hawkeye might. Maybe a little better than Hawkeye now with the range reduction, but definitely not as good as Hela still. I think his ult is really good, but you kind of have to pocket hit through it or he just kind of dies. Like the turret is bait in my opinion. He's really good mid to close range. Far range, I don't think he gets as much effect as much effectiveness. You want to be in a position where you can use your shotgun at any time. And because the shotgun right now, that buff is really nice. It's a good feeling playing with the shotgun. I think he's also pretty good at anti-dive by himself. Not by himself, but I think he himself is relatively good anti-dive because he can just whip out the shotgun and start dealing damage. But I do think that he's still on like the weaker end. I'd put him in the B tier. I think I'd put him somewhere here. I think like his team up with Rocket is also really good, and that would push him up a little bit, but I don't think he's as good as any of these characters up here, with the exception of maybe Squirrel Girl. Squirrel Girl's a bit of a meme. He's just good. He's decent. He's a very solid pick. If you don't know who to pick, like if you're like, man, I don't know what to pick here, just pick Punisher. Like just pick Punisher. Bucky. I think Bucky is a solid A tier. I think Bucky's moving up. I don't think Bucky was all that good last season. He was good, but he was more of a pub stomper. But I think with the buffs, he's gotten really solid. He can pretty much 1v1 other melee characters for the most part. He's very disruptive. He just deals a lot of damage. He's very safe now. Overall, the character's buffs were just an overall plus. Before, he was decent mid, but I think the buffs were enough to really just kind of push him a little higher. He combos well with things like Groot ult as well, if that is something that comes up. The again is always fun. He can turn team fights really well. A good Bucky that's landing hooks will, displace targets really well as well, make it really hard for them to survive. And he's really good. He's really disruptive, and I think that's what you need him to be. And hard to kill now. So I think a solid A. Let's look at Wolverine. Last but not least, Wolverine. Logan, one of my favorite characters to play. I think Logan is a solid A. Logan is a little harder to play right now because of the fact that Sue exists. Sue Storm can cuck Wolverine a lot with the pull. Even the Vortex, I think, stops it as well. But again, that's one of those matchup things, right? And I don't think a lot of Sues are doing that in the matchup. I don't think Sues are screwing over the Wolverine as much as they should because it's hard for them to figure out like the priorities. Because there's a lot of things that Sue can screw over, right? So if Wolverine is paired up with the Flyer, does Sue try to stop the Flyer with the Vortex or stop the kidnap? Do they pull in the guy that you displaced or pull in the Wolverine, right? Like it's more matchup dependent and it's more player skill at that point than what I feel is like a super hard counter, which is why I think that Wolverine can still get away with it a lot. And overall, I think Wolverine is just a really good character against just every tank in the game, shreds them to pieces, just kidnaps them, has a harder time against something like Magneto or even Hulk because of the bubble and they can just jump away. But even then, I think Wolverine's just really solid, kills through tanks, very good character overall. but is also not as good as some of the other DPS. Has a hard time against Storm and Iron Man, because they're in the air, and he has to, if he's the one that needs to, deal with the Storm and the Iron Man, then you are in trouble. Right? Like if you are playing, you find yourself being the only answer to Storm and Iron Man, just swap, play something else, man. like it's not worth the hassle. It's not worth the hassle. But I think overall, Wolverine is good. Now, do I want to change anything here? I think I like it. I like where I put everything. None of this is ordered, right? Like I don't want to order them in terms of like best to worst in their own respective. I think these are all kind of in the same field, but I think they're all relatively solid. I think the only thing I would change, I would probably put Spider-Man down here. I think Spider-Man can be very effective, but I think putting him in the B tier makes it seem like he can be as good as like a Magik peak or a like Punisher peak. And I don't think that's the case with how hard he needs to play. Like I don't think that's the case with how good the Spider-Man needs to play to be the like the better character in the long run. Like you have Spider-Man players basically learning Tekken combos to maximize his damage, and then half of the Spider-Man, like majority of the Spider-Man population, can't do them, and the few Spider-Mans that can are still getting destroyed because healers are just really good. I would put him down here in the C tier probably instead of the B tier, but I think he can still be B tier. Like the Venom team up is really good for him. Allows him to one shot a lot of these flyers, but just overall, I think he has to work too hard. Similar to Jeff, he has to outperform all of these characters in the C tier. Have to outperform their respective counterparts to fully win the game or to take over the game, and I don't think that's happening as often. So yeah, I think I'll swap Spider-Man down to C. But yeah, that's it. That's my tier list. Hopefully it made sense.